Welcome to the Kale Houser Leadership Secrets podcast. Today, let's expose your weaknesses. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Kale Houser Leadership Secrets podcast. My name is Kale Houser. Thank you for joining me today. You may be asking yourself, well, wait a minute. I think that's pretty stupid to expose your weaknesses. You may be asking yourself, like, people will take advantage of me if I expose my weaknesses. And I would say to you, you're right. They absolutely will, especially if you are in a competitive business industry, if you are in strict and hard competition with the competitor, with the guy or gal or the business across the street from you that runs an HVAC business as well, that runs a carpet cleaning business, that runs whatever. Showing weakness is generally not a good way to get ahead. Showing weakness is generally the way you get eaten in the forest by the wolves, right? They go after the weak. They go after the lame. You may say to yourself, I'm not lame. I don't want to be lame. Exposing my weaknesses is stupid. And I would say to you, in the wrong situations, you are correct. But what we are going to talk about today is exposing your weaknesses to yourself. Being willing to look at your life, to look at your thought processes, to look at your emotions, to look at your shortcomings and your failings and your insecurities in such a manner that you expose them for what they are. And I'm not talking about physical limitations like, you jacked up your back in high school football and now you have that limitation the rest of your life. Or you blew out your knee and, blah, blah. I'm not talking about those types of things that are out of your control, at least to a degree. I'm talking about the things that only you know about right now. Or maybe you and maybe just your spouse. Maybe you and just one other trusted friend. I am talking about exposing your weaknesses to yourself, to give yourself the opportunity to correct, to fill that gap, to bridge that gap, to move forward in such a manner that it is no longer a weakness, that it is no longer, and I use this term weakness in the form of not that you are weak, but in the form of you have something holding you back. In the form of there is a barrier, a roadblock that you just cannot, will not, are unable to get around, but it is pretty much all internal. And nobody else's fault but your own. Like, this is not the blame game of, I'm not successful at business because my wife doesn't support me. This is not I'm not a deacon in my church because the pastor's out to get me and he doesn't think I'm holy enough. That is not this. This is not the blame game of other people are holding you back. Like, I'm not the sales manager because I keep getting passed over for the promotion and these total undeserving jerks get the promotions instead of me. This is the looking at yourself deep. Like, this is hard. This may take some time. This may take some therapy. This may take some being real with a trusted friend, spouse, child, mom, dad. Being real to the point that you expose yourself, that you expose that thing, that hurt, that wound, that scar, that thought pattern, that mindset. For what it really is. It's a weakness. And not a weakness in that you will never be capable of, a weakness that you can't overcome, but a weakness in that it is holding you back from what you were born to do, what you are called to do. The type of leader that people want to be around, that they want to follow. The type of leader that has a vision and a mission. And they not only help other people see that vision and mission, but they recognize the value and the potential of the other people around them, and they help those people get that value and potential. But to do that, to be that type of leader, to be that type of man, that type of woman, you have to expose yourself. And this may be one of the most difficult things that I'm asking you to consider. If you have been listening to my podcast for any length of time, you understand that I usually, in some form or fashion, ask for you to do a little self-reflection. How is whatever that topic is impacting your life? But this is kind of the ultimate and the only real self-reflection that is important. How are you holding yourself back? What weaknesses? Maybe it's arrogance. Maybe it's pride. Maybe it's ego. Maybe it's that insecurity and that fear of what other people will think about you. Maybe it's that inadequacy. A lot of people call it that imposter syndrome, which is kind of a joke. But it's that fear of the future, the fear of the unknown. Maybe it's a lack of that confidence in yourself to be able to trust that you can figure it out. So you never take that step because you don't believe in yourself that you can figure it out as you go, as needed. Maybe it's your own self-worth. Maybe people told you your entire life that you're worthless, that you'll never be anything. You're voted most likely to end up in jail in your high school. And it's easy to blame all those other people for their view of you when it's you that is creating that image, that view. But it needs to start with your self-image. So I wanted to strongly encourage you. Now is the time to start exposing those weaknesses. But beyond that, you can't just sit there and go, yes, I'm insecure. Yes, I'm afraid of what people think about me. Now is the time to do the work, to take the steps, to make the investments, maybe financially, maybe not, maybe just emotionally, maybe cutting off from some relationships that aren't good for you. Maybe reading that book that helps you learn how to change your thought patterns. Instead of saying, I can't do something all the time, you figure out, how can I do that? What do I need to do? Who do I need to meet to do that? To be that person. Having that honest conversation with your spouse. There is arguably no more critical of a self-analysis that you can take than this. Expose your weaknesses. Now's the time. Step into that role that you've been called to do, whether it be leadership, business owner, friend, spouse, husband, wife, father, mother, son or daughter. Step into that role as you were designed to, not with all these limitations that we put on ourselves. And I am just as guilty of it as anyone else, as the next guy or gal. And it is a process that I am working through every day. How am I shooting myself in my own foot with my thoughts, with my insecurities, with my doubts, with my lack of understanding, and preventing my own success and my own calling, meeting the needs of others? Hope you find that beneficial. I hope you take it seriously. If you need help, you need that sounding board, absolutely reach out. Leave a comment. I'll get back to you. DM me. I hope you're doing fantastic. I hope you take this seriously. Do the reflection. Look at yourself in the mirror. Be honest with yourself. No matter where you're at in the world. Have a fantastic afternoon. Bye.